Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here with the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your planning outlook on Thursday the 22nd of August. Now finally, something a bit more optimistic as we head into the weekend. We've got pressure building and there's some warm and fairly humid air that's moving its way across the British Isles. Fronts are being steered away more towards the northwest, so a few days of better weather. Not entirely convinced it lasts because next week looks a bit messy as fronts come back in from the west and some bursts of rain developing again, I suspect, by the middle of the week. It's not absolutely plain sailing for everywhere. There's a few complications around. Let's have a look through the charts. Friday, first of all, and we've got high pressure toward the southeast. Fronts are across the north and west. That is a system that's been around during Thursday. Pushing north of Scotland with time, it's likely to be a wet start across the northwest Highlands. That rain should tend to fade and clear northwards. It will leave, though, a humid tropical maritime southwesterly air mass, and that will feel quite humid. But what it does also is put a lot of low cloud on western hills and mountains. Across Wales and the Lake District, that may well just tend to break up through the day. It'll be stubborn to do so, though, I suspect, for a good number of hours. And around the low cloud, some drizzly bits and pieces of rain will be found. Clearest conditions towards more eastern hills and mountains. And across Scotland in particular, it's a windy day with the risk of gales, at least early on, across more northwestern hills. Temperatures rising then as we go onwards into the weekend as the wind flow tips more around to the south, and day on day they will tend to increase. We've got a trailing front that lies out to the west of Scotland and Ireland, and that will produce one or two heavy bursts of rain across far western parts of the Highlands, more towards the northwest Highland coasts. Many places will stay completely dry all the way through, and it's just a few sporadic bursts of rain around the northwest coast is likely for the day. Again, some low cloud may plague those western hills, particularly in Scotland, elsewhere tending to break up more readily. Some hazy high cloud will be in place, so it won't be absolutely wall-to-wall blue sky and sunshine, but for the most part it is a dry and a bright day. The wind relatively light, still a bit gusty around some of the higher ridges, particularly in Scotland. Those temperatures, though, feeling much better than recent times. Still one or two complications just kicking around into Sunday. At face value, it's broadly a good day with sunshine, some hazy high cloud, and staying dry on the whole with light winds. It'll be a distinctly humid feel, so a muggy one, particularly at low levels, and even up on higher tops, the temperature's much warmer than what we've seen in recent times. Dry overall. I just wonder whether there's the risk for one or two very isolated bursts of rain just to pop up very locally by the time we get through into the afternoon and evening. With a bit of humidity, a bit of lift locally and local convergence, just a slim chance that something may just develop. One to keep an eye on in your local forecast over the next few days. The story, I'd suggest, is an optimistic one, but just keep an eye out for one or two isolated showers developing. And it's the leftovers of that old front that's still kicking around somewhere into Monday. It looks as though it's around the west coast of Wales. Detail is a bit sketchy. Broadly again, it's a good day for being dry and a good amount of sunshine. Slim chance, once again, just locally, of an isolated shower popping up, but I think it's the exception rather than the rule for most then. Another day of some sunshine. Again, chance of some low cloud just plaguing some of those western coastal hills as the wind by this stage tips back towards the southwest. And just watch western Scotland as this front begins to encroach in. We might see some rain developing later on as the cloud begins to thicken and the wind will strengthen here as well. It all becomes very messy into the middle part of the week as those fronts journey their way in from the west and meet the fairly humid air, slack low pressure, not much wind. Detail is going to be very difficult to say at this stage, but a few bursts of rain, maybe thundery in places, are possible. Not everywhere will get them, but it's just that idea of things changing and starting to break down somewhat as we head towards the middle of the week. So not an easy one to get detail once we go further ahead. It looks as though most indications favour a southwesterly flow into midweek and just beyond, with low pressure around Iceland, high pressure towards the southeast of Britain and also away toward the Azores. I would think that it's almost to some extent back to square one with southwesterly winds and fronts coming in from the Atlantic to give some rain at times, chiefly towards west and northwestern mountains, Scotland mainly, but a bit of rain elsewhere is possible from time to time. Temperatures still on the fairly warm side compared to what we've had in many recent weeks, not quite as warm as this weekend. And it just looks as though as we head towards the very end of the month as though we're stuck under something of a slack trough. Now, I wouldn't be absolutely getting clever with detail at this stage. We just don't quite seem to have got high pressure over the top of us. There's a couple of highs almost side by side, one over the Atlantic, one towards Eastern Europe. We're somewhere in the middle. It could all be a very slow moving affair by the time we get to that time. The risk, though, of some rain or heavy showers. And it's a story which is more or less told in the weekly pressure anomaly when you look through until the 4th of September, and it's that theme of two zones of high pressure west and east of the British Isles, and we're just stuck with relatively lower than average pressure. As I said, it could be a very slack, slow moving picture with just the trend to being just still on the unsettled side, with a variation from day to day in terms of who gets what in local weather patterns, but just the risk of some rain still at times. As always, we'll keep an eye on those longer range trends. For this weekend, though, it's a more optimistic picture. So if we've been waiting for a few dry days, we've finally got them. It's taken a long time this August, hasn't it? Thanks for watching this video today. Stay up to date with us then every day on our local forecast on our website, and you can keep up to date on social media as well. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.